All right. Shalom. I'm Dr. Yasapa from Zion Law School. Welcome back to our presentation on the Zodiac, on the Gospels and the Zodiac. So here's our book that we're working with. All right. Shalom. I'm Dr. Yasapa. All of you should know that this is the book that we're working with. The title is The Gospel and the Zodiac, The Secret Truth About JC, the Christ Figure, okay? I hope that's in the camera. Let me hold it up here. The free PDF is in the description area of the video. Print it, bind it, all right? Give me 1 second, let me check the connection before we get started, y'all. All right, give me 1 minute, please. Need to check the connection. So call somebody, let them know we are live. Let them know we are live and that they need to be here. All right. I don't see it on YouTube. Let me go out and come back in. Maybe there's a problem, but y'all make sure you let people know that we are live right now. Live on YouTube. Here we go. Yeah. All right. Let me check the connection. Hold on. Let me make sure. All right. Okay, we got a good connection. So let's begin. I need to show y'all an image of Saturn devouring his son. Okay, y'all. Now, let me get this together. Let me do a screen share. All right. You need to see this. Hold on. Now, as we look at this image, I want you to think about the psychology, the mental state of the artist who created this painting. And then secondly, the mental state of the art critics who made this painting famous for centuries. Now this is Saturn. You can take a look at Saturn and look at what Saturn is doing, y'all. This is Saturn. This is the representation of Saturn. By an artist by the name of Goya. This guy. This is the artist, Goya. And he produced some famous works of art, or at least it's called art by them. All right. And take a look at what it is. This is the representation of the planet Saturn. Take a look at this, and I'm going to explain. Now, look at this. Look at this. Look at these images. We'll begin here. This is the pattern, the planet Saturn. All right. Not only was it painted by someone who clearly has some mental issues. I hope you will agree with me. But what can we say about the people about the critics who made this image famous? Now take a look at this image. This is the same image of Saturn eating his sons. Saturn is said to have many sons, all of which he ate. I'm going to take you into this story. Now remember, Saturn, the planet Saturn with its rings, rules Capricorn, and Saturn rules Aquarius. Make the connection. Saturn is eating his own sons. Why? Because according to the story, Saturn ate his own sons because he was afraid that his sons would kill him to take his throne. All right. Now remember the characteristics of Capricorn and Aquarius: the cruelty, the suffering, the tragedy, the agony that occurs in both of those dark wintry signs, and how it relates to the pressure that you will feel entering into the age of Aquarius, exiting Capricorn, going into the age of Aquarius. You guys follow me? I hope that's clear. All right, so this should tell you something. Let's go back. I don't want to focus too much on that. I think this is a good picture. Y'all can just Google search Saturn devouring his sons, all right? And you can get these images, okay? Real easy. Nothing difficult about getting these images. Now you can see that was a hybrid troglodyte nigger, commonly referred to as Paleolithic colonists. Okay, so here you see multiple images. Here's a close-up shot of what we just looked at. So this is what you're dealing with in Aquarius, all right, and Capricorn. Saturn rules Aquarius and Capricorn, all right? What other planet? Uranus is involved here. Okay, now let's go to the encyclopedia. We'll go to the Encyclopedia Britannica, and we'll give you what they have to say in academia. This is very basic level stuff because it's coming out of an encyclopedia. Cronus. Cronus, also spelled Chronos. Okay, that's with the C or a K. In ancient Greek religion. So here we are, we're dealing with religion. Okay, Cronus associated with religion, not nature. Cronus is a male deity who was worshipped. Worship meaning what? Worship meaning what? He was highly honored. People gave respect and held what he said to be authoritative. A male deity who was worshipped by pre-Hellenistic population, by the pre-Hellenistic population of Greece, but probably was not widely worshipped by the Greeks themselves, and that's probably, so you take it with a grain of salt. Maybe they did, maybe they didn't, right? He was later identified with the Roman god Saturn. So Cronus is Saturn. Cronus, chronology, make the connection. Cronus, chronology, time. Father time. Father time eats his son. Father time eats his son. Hope y'all got it. I'm having lunch right now, so bear with me. I need to eat something. I'm working every day, and we'll do this while I have my lunch. All right. So I'm eating a Vietnamese dish. Vietnamese dishes, which is actually quite delicious. Okay, so let's continue. Y'all know in boxing, they say that Father Time is undefeated, right? Father Time is undefeated. Okay, let's continue. Cronus's functions were connected with agriculture. In Actica, his festival, the Cronia celebrated the harvest and resembled the Saturnalia. Saturnalia is when, y'all? Saturnalia? That's what they base Christmas off of, right? It is a winter holiday, ancient winter holiday. Now it's Christmas. Okay. In art, Cronus or Chronos is depicted as an old man holding an implement, probably originally a sickle. Why a sickle? Well, it just said he's involved in architecture, right? But interpreted as a harp or a curved sword. So take a look at the cursor here and you can see that. You can see the image here. Now let's continue. In Greek mythology, all right, so now that paragraph we dealt with religion. Now we're going to deal with Greek mythology. In Greek mythology, Cronus was the son of Uranus. All right, that's the planet. And Gaia. So y'all know Gaia, right? Gaia is the goddess, okay? Gaia came up during COVID. Goddess of nature, earth. As being someone who can heal, or someone you could say that you worship. And so therefore, you can do this and you can do that, Gaia. And everything is based upon the earth, so you don't want something like a molecule, an artificial molecule, if you know what I mean, a jab entering you. It's interesting that came up. But anyway, let's continue. In Greek mythology, Cronus was the son of Uranus. Uranus is heaven, and Gaia is the earth, being the youngest of 12 titans. 12 titans. Titans. So let's get clear. 12 titans. And so here we are, titans. Just a second, y'all. Something or someone very large stature, greatness, or godliness. Now, does this sound like Nephilim to you? Does it sound like Nephilim to you? You decide. You decide. Are titans Nephilim? Are titans Raphaim? On the advice of his mother, he castrated his father with a harp. Understand that. On the advice of his mother told him, castrate your father. Cronus's mother told him, cut your father's penis off. Cut it off. His mother said that. You see the kind of mindset that the Nephilim have, that the hybrid troglodyte niggers have? You see the mindset, state of mind? So therefore, it's impossible to work with them. Okay, you cannot change the nature of anything or anybody. Okay? Thus separating heaven from earth. He now became the king of the Titans. All right, so Cronus became king of the Nephilim, king of the Raphaim, according to Greek mythology. If you accept that the Titans are Nephilim. If you don't, okay too. All right, so Cronus became the king of the Titans and took for his consort his sister Rhea. Now, consort, they would call it as his wife. He took his sister as his wife. Now you have incest. Brother and sister getting married. She bore by him, and we see these Nephilim, Hastia, Demeter, Hera, Hades, and Poseidon. Now Hades and Poseidon are related, are they not? Hades, common grave of mankind. It can also be the sea, the ocean. Poseidon, this is the deity where? In the sea. Now we're getting closer to the Raphaim, right? The dead who inhabit the sea. All of whom he swallowed. All of whom he swallowed because his own parents had warned that he would be overthrown by his child. Y'all got that? Cronus swallowed, he ate Hades, and Cronus swallowed and ate Poseidon. Why? Because his mother and father told him that his own children would kill him to take his throne. All right. Now remember, the whole point of this is because we're dealing with Aquarius, the secret truth about Jesus, right? The gospel and the zodiac. The secret truth about Jesus, specifically Aquarius. All right, y'all got it? That's why we're doing this. What's the connection to the Gospels? Let's continue. When Zeus was born, who is Zeus? Zeus is YHWH. Zeus is the tetragrammaton. Tetragram. Tetra, 4. Gramma, letters or pictographs. Tetra, gramma, 4 pictographs, 4 letters. Aton, this is the Egyptian deity Aton, A-T-O-N. A-T-O-N. Tetragrammaton, tetragrammaton. Pyramidology. The cross, north, south, east, and west. Y'all see the connections? I hope you do. If not, go back and watch the videos, all right? Go back and watch the videos. Zeus, Isus. Isus. This would be Jesus. Jesus is YHWH, right? The Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost gives you the Trinity. You see the triangle here? You see the triangle? The triangle is always shown, or YHWH is frequently shown inside of a triangle. All right? YHWH is frequently shown inside of a triangle, which is inside of a sunburst. Y'all got that? The sun and the YHWH inside of a triangle. All right? Why triangle? Because this top part of the triangle, if you cut it off, that's the chief cornerstone. Right? That's the chief cornerstone. And who is the chief cornerstone? The chief cornerstone is JC, Jesus. Jesus is the chief cornerstone. So I hope y'all see the symmetry of all of this. All right. Zeus grew up, forced Cronus to disgorge his brothers and sisters. Zeus waged war on Cronus, and Zeus won. After Cronus was defeated by Zeus, Cronus became, according to different variations of his story, either a prisoner in Tartarus or king in Elysium. According to one tradition, the period of Cronus's rule was a golden age for mortals, or golden age for men, but that would be for mankind, right? Not man. All right, so let's just rewind it. Get this image back in your head. Oh, here it is. Put this image back in your head. So this is who we're dealing with, Cronus, all right? Cronus was defeated by Zeus. Zeus is YHWH. YHWH is also Jesus. Jesus is Izus or Izus, right? Clear? Apollo, YHWH is Apollo, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. The reason why I want y'all to get this in mind is because eventually I'm going to give you some information about all of these deities having the same names, okay? Or as in Christianity and Hebrew Israelitism, they come in different chronologies. These deities are represented or appear in different chronologies, different eras of time. ERA. But is that true? Can you trust the chronology? Is it true? Or is it more remix? All right. So let's finish that up. Let's get into the lesson now. All right, y'all. So here we go. Let me get myself together. I was having lunch with someone, but I don't know. I want to show y'all what I'm eating. This is some people say you shouldn't eat eggs. I don't necessarily agree with that, right? But these are delicious. Vietnamese food is absolutely delicious, y'all. So I'm gonna eat this and y'all just gonna have to deal with it because I don't have time to do a live stream if I'm not gonna eat. So I'm multitasking, all right? So bear with me. This is called making it do what it do. All right, so here we go, y'all. By the way, you'll find the picture on Saturn, about Saturn, on page 194. If y'all still here, if you've been here more than 5 minutes, please like and share the video, subscribe to the channel. All right, if you don't like it, I prefer you go. If you don't like it here, I prefer you go. And I tell you why, because it helps the analytics. And I'm already shadow banned. Zion Law School is already shadow banned. And you sticking around here watching the video and not liking, sharing, or subscribing doesn't help. Okay, so if you don't like it, leave, please. If you've been here more than 5 minutes, please like the video and subscribe. Sharing it helps. The key is distribution. On our end, let me rephrase that. On my end, I need to say everything that I can to get the audience, who would be you, to like, share, and subscribe to the video so that the likelihood or probability of somebody else seeing the video increases. If I don't do it, nothing's gonna happen, right? And then I'm at fault. All right, your responsibility is that if you've been here for 5 minutes or more, I'm asking you, like, share, and subscribe. Help get this information to people who want to see it, who can use it. All right, who can use it. But if you don't want people to know that you're watching the video, I understand that too. You can just like it. You don't have to share it, okay? Just like it. Nobody's gonna know. All right? Nobody's gonna know. Nobody's gonna tell on you. Nothing's bad gonna happen to you at your camp or church. All right? You'll be okay. All right, so I'm looking for the page. Okay, so here we are. We are on page 195. Yes, 195. Last paragraph on page 195 reads, as a series of prophecies, however, chapter 13 of Mark is an obvious failure. Y'all got that? According to this author, the prophecies in chapter 13 of the book of Mark have failed. That means they didn't come true. That means he's a false prophet. Did y'all catch that? Prophecies that don't come true means what? That prophet is a false prophet and you should not be afraid of him. You should not even listen to him, okay? This is what we learn in the Hebrew scriptures. So let's continue. As a series of prophecies, so more than one, right? More than two. As a series of prophecies, however, chapter 13 of Mark is an obvious failure, meaning to say you don't have to search for it. It's not something that's hidden. It's obvious. Obvious failure. Do y'all like Vietnamese food? So this is, I'm eating a eggplant. Really delicious. And rice. That's really good, y'all. You know, if I wasn't committed to doing this, I would just enjoy my lunch. I wouldn't do this. As a series of prophecies, however, chapter 13 of Mark is an obvious failure. Even the initial statement that none of the stones of the temple would be left standing was not fulfilled to the letter. Now that's according to Mark, that's coming from Mark chapter 13, verse 2. As the Wailing Wall, which still stands today, bears testimony. Well, we know that that's not the Wailing Wall, right? At least my understanding is that that's a Roman fortress. It's not the Wailing Wall, okay? So the author is incorrect here. The author is not right here. So take a look at this, y'all. I don't know what this little fruit is or vegetable is, but it is really delicious. You can see the seasoning, right? And it's crunchy. It has like a sweet taste. And they like I don't know if it's vinegar or something, some kind of like kick to it. It has a little kick to it. And this is a little egg and some really spicy type of sauce. Okay. All right, let's continue. So the Wailing Wall, we know that that's actually a Roman fortress. Add to this the promise found in verse 30. So here's the next failure according to the author. There's a failure, a prophetic failure or false prophecy in verse 30 of Mark chapter 13. And here it is. Wow. The religion that I was in really relied on this verse, y'all, in their doctrine. Add to this the promise found in Mark chapter 13, verse 30, quote, "This generation will not pass away until all these things have happened." Now, the religion that I was involved in, they edited their understanding of this prophecy 2, 3, 4 times. And I'm not laughing at them because when I was in there, they used to say something like, we got new light. So the understanding of the prophecy changes, right? Well, that generation has been around since 1874 or whenever the Watchtower began. And here we are in 2023. Okay. So they've been refining and refining, editing and editing their interpretation of that prophecy all this time. So what is that telling us? That's telling us that they changed the prophecy according to their needs. Yes, according to their needs. When they see the prophecy didn't happen the way they thought, they just change it. And then they say they got new light. So this is a false prophets, okay, y'all? False prophets. Now, if you believe something, it's because you want to believe it, right? It's because you may be tricked, but eventually you're going to get to the point where you know something is wrong and you just say, well, okay, I'm going to accept it. I don't really know what else to do, what my other options are. Or maybe I don't understand. Y'all follow me? All right, let me repeat that false prophecy again. Y'all talk about this with two of your church leaders, all right, and your Hebrew Israelite groups. Ask them to explain this. And don't give, him and hawing, right? Make them hold to the original meaning of the prophecy that their doctrine had, okay? Hold them to it. And you'll see that they do a whole bunch of splaining, all right? But it's up to you if you stay. If you stay, it's your choice. And so therefore, there's what? Everything after that is your fault because you consented, right? And their karmic debt has either been eliminated, reduced, or removed through your consent, all right? Through your consent. This is what? Again, another principle of natural law. You must consent, all right, y'all? Whether you know you consent or not. Add to this the promise found in Mark chapter 13, verse 30, that this generation will by no means pass away until all these things have occurred. And we can see why it is futile, why it makes absolutely no sense to interpret these verses as literal prophecies. Okay, so they're saying that JC lived some 2,000 years ago or more, right? Let's round it off. 2,000 years ago, JC lived, according to them. The prophecy says that the generation living at that time would see the end come, but that generation didn't see it. And now here we are, 2,000 years later. And it still has not been seen, yet you still believe it. Yet you still believe it. Why? Because Christianity has you under a spell. You're not using your common sense. You're looking outside of yourself for a savior, all right? You're looking at preachers, pastors, imams, rabbis, Moshes, Mores, Hebrew Israelites, Christians, priests, cardinals and bishops, etc., to advise you on what to do and how to do it with your life, right? But these people, 99% of them are aware of everything I'm talking about. So while you're trusting and putting your faith in them, you know what they're doing with you? They're doing every type of incantation, every type of ritual. This is behind the scenes. Every type of ritual to keep you under their spell. That's what they're doing. Every incantation. The incantation might be in the form of a sermon. The incantation may be a song, or quite often a song. The incantation may be in the form of a speech. And every time they do it, as part of that ritual that you're unaware of, they re-lock that spell on you. They re-lock you into the spell and re-lock you into the spell. And they keep hitting you with it. Repetition, repetition. You're singing the song. You're doing the prayer. And you don't know that you are locking yourself under a spell. And you'll never know it until you break out of it. Then that's the truth. Once you break out of it, you can look at it and say, wow, I can't believe. You'll see it once you're out. But now you cannot see it. You cannot see it. And most of you will fight to stay under that spell. All right, but you are definitely under a spell. Literalism, in fact, inhibits any meaningful analysis of this chapter. What is the author talking about here? Literalism. That means when you look at the grammar in consideration with the grammar rules of that time, when you look at the meaning of the words, the etymological meaning of the words, when you look at the historical stuff happening at that time, right? Whatever was happening, you find that it absolutely makes no sense. It doesn't hold water, right? It doesn't hold water. Now you have to use your imagination. And you got to try to make sense of it. Imagine how it might be true. Now you're getting into the areas of where you need to use metaphors, right? This means that, and that means this. Whereas literal analysis, you just look at the language, etymology, right? Vocabulary words, grammar rules, and what does it mean, right? What does it mean? You may need to go check a law dictionary or an encyclopedia, okay, to find out what was happening at that time and what that word actually means or meant at that time. But once you look at it literally, what the author is saying here is that it becomes ridiculous. Let me read it again. Literalism is what I just explained to you. Literalism, in fact, inhibits or prevents, stops any meaningful analysis of Mark chapter 13. Y'all got that? Y'all got that? I hope you understand what we just went through. I don't know how to say it any more clearly. Taking each verse and declaring it a scripture. Taking each verse and declaring it a scripture. One piece of God's great revelatory jigsaw puzzle misses the point of the whole. So in other words, if you look at one verse and one verse only, it messes everything up. Messes up the whole idea of revelation and end time prophecy because it's clearly false. When you look at it literally, at its literal meaning, it messes the whole thing up. So there goes your end time prophecy, whatever you might believe, out the window. You don't need to do anything else. All right, if you look at it literally, and we look at scripture literally at Zion Law School, we look at the literal meaning. This is actually quite a nice example, only this is in the New Testament. Well, no, I shouldn't say nice. This is a great example. The only problem is that it's in the New Testament. But you see the value of learning grammar and etymology and learning how to apply it. Because without studying any end time prophecy, you don't have to go study the doctrine to know that it's all BS, it's all garbage. Why go out to a garbage dump and smell the garbage? If I can take a literal look at it and see that it's all garbage, I don't need to go and study individual end time prophecies of organizations. Why? Because I know it's all garbage. So I'm not going to go out and smell the garbage. I'm going to go out to my garden and I'm going to smell roses. We can only get some idea of the author's purpose. That's whoever wrote Mark, whoever, probably a writing committee wrote Mark, not one person, probably a writing committee, okay? We can only get some idea of the author's purpose if we allow his poetic images to work on us. Well, there you go, y'all. There you go. In order to understand what Mark, what the Freemasons, or what the Knights Templars, whichever secret society it is that wrote Mark, in order to understand Mark, according to this author, you need to use your imagination. You need to imagine the images. Imagine the images. Now, let me tell you, no, let me ask you. There are how many billions of people on earth right now? How many billions? Let's say each one of them reads Mark chapter 13, according to the author, and whatever other text he's talking about in this chapter so far. They read it and they imagine. How many of them are going to imagine the same thing? Right? What is that to say? That means if you have to imagine what the text is saying because you cannot get any truth out of it when you do a literal analysis, it's all false, right? So that means you need to imagine to make something that's real. Do you see how crazy this is? For example, okay, you're married. You see your husband right over there. You see him right over there with another woman, and he's kissing her in the mouth and holding her hand. You literally see that with your own eyes, but you don't want to accept it. You don't want to accept it. So you imagine that what you're looking at is your husband standing next to a rose bush, smelling the roses, talking to the roses, and he kisses the roses. He tells the rose plant, I love you. You need to imagine that. Now, are you saying, if you do that, are you in your right mind if you do that? Or is that crazy? Would a sane person do that? Or is that crazy? See, if you go in your mind and you imagine that that's your husband standing next to a rose bush, kissing the roses, smelling the roses, telling the rose bush, the flower, that he loves it, well, that means you're not dealing with reality well, and you need to escape reality. That means you're out of your mind. You're out of your mind. So if that's the case, how is it okay if you can read something literally, not like it because it's not what you want to see, it hurts? The prophecies are obvious lies, or obvious false prophets. So therefore, you're going to go in your mind. You're going to go in your mind and imagine some stuff. Imagine, use the images and imagine. Imagine all these images that you see and what it must mean. Is that sane or is that insanity? Are you in your right mind if you do that? Or are you crazy? You decide. You decide. Scholars, let's continue. Don't let nobody make a fool out of you. Don't let anyone make a fool out of yourself, and don't play yourself, and don't you be a fool. Accept reality and deal with reality. Don't go escape because you can't deal with it and start imagining things that are not there. We can only get some idea of the author's purpose if we allow his poetic images to work on us. That means let this liar sweet talk you. Let the liar sweet talk you. Let him tell you what you want to hear. And then you be a fool and accept it. You accept the sweet talk, all right? Knowing that it's a lie. And if we try to understand the sources of that imagery, and if we try to understand the sources of that imagery and the part that imagery plays in the complete sweep of the gospel narrative. The complete sweep, that means the whole gospel story. The author is here telling you that you need to imagine the whole gospel story, because it ain't true. It falls apart under literary analysis. Now, I'm gonna tell y'all again, go back and watch the video that I did with Sadnetta. It's on the home page of my YouTube channel. You'll see it. It's called something like All Abrahamic Religions Are a Fraud. Y'all go back and watch that. Go back and watch it. Watch it and you're gonna see for yourself that all of this stuff that's supposed to have happened during JC's lifetime and with Paul, you're going to see it never happened. Impossible. But you need to watch that video. Don't take my word for it. Okay? If you watch that video, you'll see it's impossible unless, of course, you want to be played. All right? You want to be played. Why? Because maybe you can't deal with it. Cognitive dissonance. Right? But eventually you'll come around to it. I hope. But it is what it is, y'all. I didn't really get to eat my food the way I wanted to. So I think I'm gonna end it here. All right. So Islam to the Moors, Shalom to the entire House of Yasharala. Make sure y'all remember and support our brother Lamont Maurice L., Consul General. Go to their website, enforcetheconstitution.org. Follow the instructions, and please consider doing whatever it is that they're asking everyone to do. Okay, Consul General Lamont Maurice L. is still being held captive, kidnapped against his will, along with 3 other of our nationals. So show your support. Enforcetheconstitution.org. Islam and Shalom.